Flosstube. It's Valerie at Stitching in the Barn, and today is Saturday the 9th of November, if you can believe it. I can't believe it. It's just crazy to me how fast the months are flying by, but it certainly feels like November now. We got really cold weather suddenly, and I was driving to work the other day, and there were snow flurries in Pennsylvania, but the sun was shining brightly, so go figure. But I don't know if you could see our, how do I do this? There, our Christmas cactus has little tiny buds on it. So it may be a little early, I'm not sure, but we'll see. I don't mind. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and leaving wonderful comments, and thank you to all the people who've been watching me for a long time, and thank you to new people who may have found me. This is Stitching in the Barn. It is primarily about cross stitch, but I also talk about quilting and wool embroidery and rug hooking and punch needle and knitting and all the other things I love to do. So it's really about crafting, I would say, a little bit about life as well. I wasn't going to talk about this because I know a lot of people get very upset if you don't stick to the straight and narrow, but my foot is much better, thank you. I had enough people ask, which was very kind, so I wanted to say it's, it's still painful a bit, but it is getting better, definitely. I'm on the mend, so that's very kind of you all to be concerned. And what else? I had some great stitchy kindness arrive in my mailbox. The first thing was a very pretty thank you note from Julie, and she won the Cross Stitch magazine, the Halloween edition. So she sent me this really pretty part. That looks like Kath Kid's pretty card. It looks like a Kath Kidston, who's a British designer, pattern to me. I just love that kind of thing. I have some little like makeup bags, and I have some fabric of hers, and I have some of her cups and saucers and things too from when I lived in Britain. So when I saw that card, I was like, oh, that looks like Kath Kidston to me. So thank you very much, Julie. You did not need to write, but it's very nice. I'm glad you got the pattern. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The next thing that was a surprise was my pal Melissa sent me a very cute Halloween card, which I loved, and very nice note. And she knows how I love Quilt Sampler magazine, so she sent me one, which is so nice. And in this magazine, she's marked a quilt that she actually did herself. And the next time I'm in Ohio, I want to see that quilt because it's absolutely gorgeous. And I save these magazines when I get them, so I'm thrilled to have this. And thank you so much. It was so thoughtful. Not only that, but the magic green checked bag, which means keepsakes in Ohio, in Cincinnati. I guess is it Sharonville? Anyway, so cute. Embers and black coffee, floss, and a darling little Halloween pattern, which I do not have. So I am thrilled to get these. That was so nice of you. And, oh, it makes me miss you. And can't wait for my next journey to Ohio, whenever that will be, and get excited for StitchCon anyway, because I know I'll get to see you then anyway. And the last bit of stitchy kindness I wanted to show you was from, this is one of Teresa Vinette Kitten Stitcher's cards that she had designed, and I just love this design. I just think that's charming. It says on the back, "Tell me, ye knowing and discerning few, where I may find a friend both firm and true," which is the wording on one of the samplers that Teresa Vinette designed. But this is from Catherine, and by the way, Catherine, that's exactly how my sister, my aunt, and my great-grandmother spell their name, Catherine. So Catherine with 2 A's. So I saw that, I'm like, oh, she's a Catherine. Anyway, lovely note. And she was laughing with me and saying, she also has sometimes bought some duplicate patterns. So she very, very kindly sent some things which she said I could use as a giveaway. And I will do that with these two because I do already have these. I think they're lovely. It's the 2009, it's two of the 2019 Fragments in Time from Summer House Stitchworks patterns. And they're just lovely. They look like some sort of shaker, like old colonial village, old shaker village things to me. It does say inspired by shaker maps and illustrations. So there you go. So 2 of those to give away, which is delightful. And then the 2019 Cross Stitch Halloween magazine. I know Halloween's just passed, so I haven't decided if I'm going to hold on to that for another giveaway or what I'm going to do. They will definitely be in giveaways, but I'm inching my way closer to 4,000 subscribers, which is just thrilling to me. I feel like I've got 4,000 friends that I've never met, or some of you I have met, and I hope to meet more of you. But it's so nice, and I just feel like we're visiting when I get on here. I'd like to try and be more faithful, but I want you all to know that even when I'm not appearing every week, which I definitely am not doing, I'm thinking about you all and hoping you're all having a good time in your own houses and with your own stitchy projects, and I would love to see those and hear about them, so I do hope we get to meet someday. So that was some stitchy kindness, which was thrilling. I'm going to pause this for 1 second. I have to go around and get something. We had a very lovely visit with my husband's old friends, and it was perfect. They came from Britain. They live outside London, and they came and spent a weekend with us, and then we sent them off on this tour of New England, and they did manage to see some gorgeous leaves and stay in some fabulous places. So I think they really enjoyed themselves and had a great time. And then they came back to us and had another weekend with us, which was perfect because it gave us another chance to show them more things in the area. And they went off to some art museums in Philadelphia, as well as doing some things in the country, and had a great, had a great time. We had a great time having them here to visit. And we hadn't seen them in probably 30 years, so that was really fun. And then the following weekend, we had a chance to go to see a friend of mine do a one-woman show. She was doing The Belle of Amherst, which is a 2-hour play, one person performing, about Emily Dickinson. And, and in my misspent youth, I did not think I liked Emily Dickinson poetry. I remember studying her in college and turning up my nose and saying, I don't like Emily Dickinson. But I think the truth was I hadn't lived at that point. Emily Dickinson's poetry is a lot about life and death. And the sad part of the week was that a friend of mine from college had died suddenly. And so I had gone to her funeral. And then right after that, we whisked ourselves off to Ithaca and saw this one-woman show, which was fantastic. It's my friend Kathleen Mulligan performing in Ithaca. And she's hoping to take this around to different schools and things around the country. But I think PBS had filmed a production of Belle of Amherst with Julie, can't think of her last name, but famous actress doing it. And through the play, you get to know some about Emily Dickinson and her family and her circumstance, and also of her poetry and what inspired her. So it's very cleverly written. And having just gone to this funeral, the poetry really resonated with me this time. And I thought, that's what maturity brings, I guess. When you've lived life a little longer and you've seen good friends come and go, the poetry spoke to me more anyway. It certainly got me interested in Emily Dickinson, and on Kathleen's recommendation, I got out of the library this book called Lives Like Loaded Guns, because her family was quite something. They were very well connected. Her father was some muckety-muck with Amherst College, and they were sort of bigwig lawyers in the town, and had lots of feuds going with people in the town as well. So I think this book is going to be fun. It's going to be quite gossipy and behind the scenes about Emily and her family. But one thing Kathleen was telling me, and this is not Stitchy related, so pardon me, there is a new theory that Emily Dickinson was an epileptic, which I thought was fascinating, because the belief in that day was to keep yourself very clean, and it would help keep away epileptic fits and things like that. So she might have, that might have contributed to her wearing white and not going out of the house, because I know even up to the 1940s, my friend was telling me her uncle used to be put in the drunk tank. If he was out and had an epileptic seizure, people didn't know what it was, and they thought he was drunk. So they'd lock him up in jail. So that would be another reason for staying behind closed doors. I'm assuming everybody knows the story of Emily Dickinson, that she was sort of this virginal, odd, recluse, spinster type person in New England who always wore white, they said, and wouldn't come out of the house. She might have been agoraphobia, might be agoraphobic. I don't know if that's how you say it. Who knows? I mean, nobody knows. These are all speculative things, but she was seeing some specialist in Boston for her eyesight, and they would take these mysterious trips to see this doctor for her eyesight, which when they researched it, they've discovered this doctor was also doing a lot of experimental therapies with epilepsy. So you just don't know, and it just makes the person that much more interesting and fascinating. So I'm excited to read this book and find out more, if I can, about Emily. And I just thought I'd share that with you because, don't assume just because at one stage of your life you were not into something that you wouldn't find it interesting or fascinating now. I think, to lead a life where you're constantly learning is invaluable. So I intend to do that to the best of my ability. I want to teach myself something new every day if I can. Which brings me to the over 3 stitching of the Pineberry Lane pattern that I was giving away. It is Fancy Sunflowers Hanging Pocket, and it's a Pineberry Lane pattern, and it is suggested that you stitch it over 3. And I had some very interesting comments about this. Some of you said that you had stitched over 3 before actually doing this pattern, and it was okay once you got used to it. Other people said, never heard of such a thing, had no intention of doing it that way, which is fine. Everybody do their own thing. But one person, Canopied Stitches, thank you so much for your comments, suggested I look up Jean Farish, who has written about different cross-stitching techniques, and I'm going to do that. And she also said, reminded me, because I did know this, Laurie of Not Forgotten Farm has a Facebook group called Uncounted Cross Stitch, and they do all kinds of creative things there. So, Brenda, Laura, are you listening? There are no rules in cross stitch. So I am going to announce that the winner of this is, I can't do a drum roll. I did film a little video of me selecting the winner, and I'll put that in now. Okay, I've turned on the YouTube random comment picker, and I have my video from last time, and I go here to share, and I grab the URL, and then I go back to comment picker. Oh, it's singing to me. How exciting. Some things are too important to do yourself. I guess it's an ad. Be quiet. I'm talking. Okay, there we go. I will now plop in my URL, and it says get the YouTube comments. Yes, please. 159 unique commenters. Well, we're all unique, aren't we? Okay. Let's go down to start the raffle and pick a winner. Goodbye, ad.
This is Jenna.
Ah!
Jeff's story wasn't exactly a picnic.
I guess they want you to see their ads so that.
But one day, Jenna had.
I don't know how to stop it. I know what to do. I'll turn the volume down. There we go. So we can ignore her. All right. Maybe I can edit that out. All right. So we come over here and we say, start raffle, pick a winner. Whee! Who's it going to be? La 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 la. Jackie Schmidt says, I have never stitched over 3. I have enough issues counting 2. Also, thank you for doing the stitching to for Make-A-Wish. My daughter is a Make-A-Wish child and went to Disney in 2004. How lovely that you have won, Jackie. So if you can comment to me and give me a personal message or email me, I'll link my address below, and let me know that you are the winner and here's your address. I will pop that in the mail to you, and congratulations. Okie doke, thanks. So Jackie Schmidt, congratulations, and let us know when you get the pattern, when you stitch it, if you stitch it over 3 or if you decide to do something else. But anyway, you are the winner, Jackie Schmidt, and please get in touch with me, email me or personal message me, give me your address, and I will get this in the mail to you, and congratulations. Okie doke. Stitching. I have a couple finishes to show you. Oh, I can't reach them. You've seen these before because you saw me working on them, but I did finish them. Yay! So here's the first one. It is Plum Pudding by Brenda Gervais, and I did it in the called for threads and the called for linen, which was 36 count winter brew by R&R Reproductions. I did not change the colors, thought about changing the red, and then decided, no, I'm going to leave it as it is because it's kind of an orangey, I think it's tomato red, and it reminds me of those French linens with the orangey red stripe, and that's what I thought it was meant to be, like that. And I do have a little mini kitchen wooden rolling pin that I bought from Country Stitches, which is Brenda Gervais' website, to go along with this when I display it. It's going to be a pillow of some sort. So I was thrilled to get that done. I did make one little error somewhere, and I just had to adjust it by, I forget what. I changed the length of her skirt or something. I think that was all I had to do. I could have done different colors for, like the plum pudding maybe could have been darker, or, you know, a lot of these colors turned out being very similar when I think there's supposed to be more contrast between them, but I liked it anyway. I thought it was very cute, and I wasn't going to stop and mess with it, so I just went with the flow, you know? And the other one is, hang on, I can't get my bag open. Big ol' head, all bundled up. Again, Brenda Gervais. He is finished, and I will show him to you. He is here. And this again was Winter Brew, and it was using the called for colors except for the cardinal, which I talked about before. And I'm gonna hold it like that. 1 thread over 2, 36 count. There's the snowman and the snowflakes and the little vine wrapped around his hat, and the cardinal. I can't remember what I didn't like about the color when I first started stitching it. Maybe I think he was too pink or something. So I ended up using that belle soie, which was fantastic. I might even stick that picture of Stephanie in the video again, where she's holding up belle soie, because it was so cute. And when I put it in the last video and I talked about this, somehow I cut her head off, so you just see her hands, and her face was so cute. And I said, you know, on my Instagram thing, I said the little devil should be wearing horns, because she's tempted me down this path of belle soie, which is just delightful to stitch with. And then lo and behold, on their Halloween video, she was wearing horns. Just keep stitching. So that made me laugh. I thought, ah, yes. All right. So, did I start my horse Christmas? No, because I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, I'm going to pull something else up that I had started. I pulled one of my Stitch Mania starts. Let's see if I can find it. And I thought, well, this is, to me, in my head, this is appropriate for Thanksgiving, because the one I chose was Little House Needleworks coming to America. And in this season of Thanksgiving, I liked to think about all the folks who've immigrated to this country over the years and all that we have to be thankful for, and you know, the fact that people were able to escape horrific situations or poverty and have a new start in a new country. Well, it wasn't new. It was an old country that had belonged to some other people, but we won't talk about that now. But anyway, I got quite a lot done on this. So all I have to do is finish up the glistening city in the sky, the flag, the ship, New York, and a couple lines across the top that match the ones that I'm working. Oh, sorry, this is flopping all over the place. The ones that go across the bottom here. So you can see in this pattern the ship, the city, New York, and the dates. I think I need a little more. So there are little bits I need to get going on, but it shouldn't take me that long to finish. And I thought, well, I think that's appropriate for a Thanksgiving. It kind of reminded me of pilgrims, like the pilgrims sailing to America. But this is 1840 to 1920. And she says on the back of the pattern, of course I can't think of her name. You know who I mean. Anyway, let's see if I can find it. She said, hang on. No. Not it. I think it's in this bag. Oh, I need to get my pretty fabric bags, because then you can really differentiate what's what in each one. Okay. It's Diane Williams, of course. And she says, where is it? I read it somewhere. Maybe it's in the front. I'm sorry, I'm always so discombobulated. Well, it's called Coming to America. Oh, here. The United States saw the greatest number of immigrant arrivals between the years of 1840 and 1920. So that is what she's commemorating. And you see the little family with all their belongings packed in just a few little satchels. And they're coming off the boat, landing in Baltimore, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, somewhere there, hoping for a better life. So we who are here and have a better life can give thanks and wish to extend that to everybody in the world. That's the way I feel anyway. Okay. I did pull out something else. I really didn't put many stitches on it. But I am getting ready to join Barb and Leanne of Lost and Floss on November 11th. They are going to start a SAL, Stitch Along, for Baby It's Cold Outside. And I started this for Stitch Mania. I got some of it done. But I stopped because I did not like the way the house was looking. It was way too pink for me, and I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to pull that out because that is really pink. I mean, if you look in the pattern, it's red. This is actually the same color used here as is here for the red. But what this is just every other stitch, so it looks pinker, but it's actually this deeper red. And the called for color on this is pomegranate, I think. By the way, this is Beth Twist Heartstring Sampler. I should have said that. Love her patterns. The called for color. I'm sorry. God. Pomegranate. Well, did not like my pomegranate. This is my pomegranate. I don't know if you can see that. That is super pink. So I pulled out a whole bunch of other things to test. And I think I'm going to go with this barn door. I also thought about old red paint. Seems a little dark to me. Used brick, which is good. But this one, barn door, had a lot of variegation in it. And I liked that. I thought that looked like an old barn door. But here's something funny. I realized I have several old barn doors. Just over the years have, surprise, bought more than I needed. Look at the difference in them. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to have to pick carefully. I'm going to have to pick one that has some brown in it, some red, mostly red. I think this one's too pale because I think I'd run into the same thing as the pomegranate. So I think it's probably between these two. And I may just go with this darker one because I know that when I do those every other stitch, it's going to look paler and pinker. So I might just pick the darkest of the barn doors and use that. And I think I will take those other stitches out. And I have until the 11th. So I've got plenty of time to start with Barb and Leanne. Oh boy. And you know, I did not put in a single other stitch on my locks and keys SAL, but they said I could join in because there are no cross-stitch rules. You know, I absolutely adore Brenda Sampler Stitcher and her pal, Laura, the serial starter. So I am totally teasing. I hope you realize that. I think their Flosstubes are fantastic. And I love everything they stitch. And I love them and their personalities. So they just make me laugh. So I hope they're not offended by my harassment. So there we are. I got listen to the wind. Whatever it says, listen to the... Oh, look at the storm, listen to the fireplace roar. Baby, it's cold outside. So this will be fun. I can't wait to do that. And it is so cold now. We've been having a fire every night, so I'm thinking perfect stitching. So those are my FOs, my whips. I do have a flash from the stash past. And where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Funnily enough, it's another Pineberry Lane. And this one is called Wool Pin Keeps. I don't know if you've ever seen this one before. But I reached in the magic box in the magic barn and just pulled one out. And this is what I got. And this is from 2011. So I had to add it on my fingers. It's 8+ years old. And I think it's darling. And I want to stitch it in both versions. I love that gray linen, whatever that is. And that has a grayish cast to it. So I wonder what that is. They say 35 count 18th century rook linen, R&R, or 32 count Belgian linen. Interesting. So I hope I can find something that's equivalent to that. And I just love the way that looks. I think that's fantastic. So that was my stash from the flash from the stash past. And I do have a little bit of haul, and I have to tell you, I totally copied when I went to StitchCon last year, the very first person I met was Robin Sampler Bird. And I thought she was just delightful. I had breakfast with her, and I just loved her immediately. And then we went down to the room in StitchCon, and people had put out samples of their work to show and tell, I guess it was. And she does the most beautiful, amazing, tiny, tiny little things. Cool little chair she had that had a tomato, it was like a tomato pin cushion that opened up to a chair, and I forget what else she brought, but absolutely intricate and beautiful things. And so I follow her on Instagram, and I'm totally copying her, totally cheating. She had these 2 patterns that she posted for Halloween that I just fell in love with. I've always loved Birds of a Feather. I've done a few of their things, and I rushed to eBay and found these patterns. And it was funny because she actually posted 3 pictures on Instagram. These 2 I'm about to show you, and then also a black cat by Brenda Gervais, which is about this tall, and he's actually a black cat. And it's one of the first Brenda Gervais patterns I bought years and years ago, and I've never made him, so she's kind of inspired me. I'm going to have to get him out and do him. But the first one is called Scared Silly. I just thought that was brilliant. I loved that. I thought it was hilarious. And the next one is called Fat Cat. You can see all the things he's eaten for Halloween. Too many treats, it says. which is how I feel after Halloween, believe me. So that made me laugh. So thank you, Robin Samplerbird, for enabling me. I have 2 more things to tell you about. One I talked about last week, which is the stitch along I'm going to participate in from Fat Quarter Shop. I have a little more information for you. This is Fat Quarter Shop for the past 7 years. I think this is their 7th year. Has raised money for charity by doing a quilt along, and this is their 7th annual quilt charity. It is benefiting Make-A-Wish for Central and South Texas, and the way it works for the quilt is that you make a voluntary contribution to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and every 2 weeks you get more patterns for the quilt. Well, for the first year ever, they're doing a cross-stitch version of the fundraiser. So important things to know are that Fat Quarter Shop and Moda, who's the fabric manufacturer, are going to match donations up to $20,000. So that's really helpful for the foundation. And the fabrics and pattern this year for the quilt have been designed by Sherry McConnell and Chelsea, her daughter, for Moda. And I don't know who designed the cross-stitch patterns. I should find that out. But the way the cross-stitch patterns are working is that they will be offered for free with a suggested donation of $15. You can donate any amount you like. Their goal is either $30,000 or $50,000. I can't remember this year. But starting in February, the patterns will be released 2 a month, just like we're doing the quilt. And it kind of is this is what it said about it. They combined unique and historical designs in vintage make-do style. It looks like a colorful sampler to me. So that's a lot of fun. I can't wait to do this. And I will be stitching along with you. And I haven't decided, they want each Flosstuber who's participating to make it their own. I love this version. It's on pewter Lugana. And I think it's out of stock right now at the Fat Quarter Shop, but it will be available. If you want to make it look just like this, they have a floss pack available, or the Aura Floss, which I've never tried. I was tempted, but I stuck with a good old DMC for this. But I think I'd like to do this version. I'd also like to do a different version, some sort of conversion, if I can manage it. I would like to maybe do it sort of prim style, or we'll see. I haven't really decided. I did get the little floss pack. I'm all set to do it when I get my Mushroom Lagana. And they have cool things for sale too. They have a nice little bag to keep it all together. A very cool needle minder that you can also use to keep your scissors, which I got. I forgot to bring it down here to show you, but it's pretty. It's a big square enamel with a pretty sort of tulipy quilt design on it. And there's going to be like a scissor fob and other stuff too. So I hope everybody will think about participating. I think it's such a worthy cause. It's a fantastic organization. I think it just, anything that can bring joy to the lives of children or people who are suffering is wonderful. So I applaud Kimberly and Fat Quarter Shop and Moda for spearheading this. I think it's wonderful. And it's fun to partake and be a part of something like that. And even if you're only contributing $5, you're part of a greater thing. You're part of a cause. Excuse me. And, we're heading into the season of Thanksgiving, and then the season of love is the way I like to think about the Christmas, Hanukkah time. So it's a good time to be mindful of those things and remind yourself of what's important in life. And I'm sorry I'm getting so preachy in this video, but, that's what's going on in my head right now. I have a special surprise for next week. I don't know how much to reveal, but I'm going to have a lovely visitor next week, and I'm going to do an interview and show you some pretty things. So stay tuned for that. That's all I'm going to say. I might give you a hint. Let's see. This is going to be a silly hint because, I mean, it could apply to anybody, but I'm just going to say it's a regal visitor. There. That's my hint. You'll just have to wait and find out. And I think I should have a giveaway for next week. Hold on. Well, let's see. I think the giveaway is going to be one of Catherine's magazine, I think. I know we just had Halloween, but this is the current magazine that somebody might like to have, and just keep it in their stash until next year, or start stitching now and you'll be all set for Halloween. So, let's see what you should say. I know. Tell me what country of origin your family came from. Because we all, I mean, if you don't live in the U.S., that's fine. I'm just thinking Thanksgiving and you know, people coming to America and stuff. If you don't live in the U.S., maybe you came from somewhere else to Canada, or came from somewhere else to Britain, or maybe you've always been British, or whatever. I love history. I love genealogy. I love learning about different countries and cultures in the world, and thinking about, you know, all the journeys that people have been on in their lives. And so that's kind of fascinating to me. So I guess tell me your heritage, you know, from whence you hail, or something like that. Is that a silly question? Well, that's all I can think of for now anyway. So the winner will get this magazine. So, you know, things happen in life, but life is good, I hope, for all of you. I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're excited for the coming holiday season. I hope you have nice weather, and I hope that you're getting lots of stitching done. So until next time, I wish you all good things. Bye.